read what you want. Read what you enjoy reading. And don't let anybody shame you for it. Hey, besties. So, unfortunately, we have another round of technical difficulties. This month, we decided to record separately rather than Lucia recording both ends like she normally does. And my computer decided not to save the 50-minute video that we just spent 50 minutes recording. So, please enjoy this review of the Dirty Book Club. You can still hear my audio, you just won't be able to see my face.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to We Know What You Like. This is Lucia,
Katie,
and Mary.
And today we are doing the Dirty Book Club by Lisi Harrison.
Lizzie, I think.
Lizzie would make more sense.
Lizzie.
Yeah,
I think it's Lizzie.
I can't read, guys. Every single time we do
read a
one
whole book.
Every single time we would do one of these book talks, I'm like, I can't read. And one day, y'all are gonna really believe me. No shame, but one day. But
ironically, I didn't even read this book. I listened to it.
Yes, there you go. You see? No shame of how you get your entertainment of the novels.
Very true, very true.
This month, for July, it was a little bit different. For one, it wasn't a series.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it wasn't...
Fantasy.
Our normal, fantasy.
Yeah, it was not.
It wasn't fantasy.
It wasn't even really a love story either.
No, well, not at all. So it was different, despite what the title says.
Yeah, there was very little sex in this book.
And even at that, it was like...
Oh boy, did they talk about it.
They sure did talk about it, and that's it.
First instance, I was driving in a car and was like... What?
Wait, so
what are we talking about?
Before we begin, as always, the question, did you like this book?
I did like this book. I don't often read books that are like slice of life things, but when I do, I really enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good.
How about you, Mary?
I was honestly pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed this book. I really wasn't looking forward to it. Honestly, I was like, I just have to read this book. I don't want to read this book because it's not like, I'm a mood reader, so like it's not fantasy. It's not necessarily going to be spicy. So like, in its modern day, kind of. Granted, it's modern for when it was written.
Right.
But I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this book. I really did. It was interesting. It kept me captivated.
There was a lot of topics.
There's that.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on. Yeah. So in the beginning, I didn't even say if I liked it. Did I like this book?
Did you like the book?
It was my choice, and I picked it, one, because I didn't know what to read, because I did want to go a little bit off of...
Off brand. Casey, shut up.
He's doing it anyways.
Every time. At least it's nothing on the cooker, nothing cooking.
It's true.
Anyways, so I did know that like we said earlier, I didn't want it to be part of a series. I didn't want it to be fantasy or young adult. I wanted it to be something different. And this book I got at the local thrift store, so it was only like 99 cents for me. So that was not a bad deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like the title. That's why we all know me by now.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I was going to ask how you heard of this book, because it's not something that I would have picked up.
Literally through the thrift store, yeah. And cool. For those who say, titles and book covers shouldn't sway you, I mean, it did.
They do every time.
I 1000% judge a book by its cover. You can tell me exactly what's going to happen in it, and it could be right up my alley. If I don't like the cover...
What a mood.
Probably not gonna vibe with it.
Can walk through Barnes & Noble and we'll pick up at least 2 books just because the cover was pretty. I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
But when I told y'all last month, I was like, so this is the book, and it's not exactly steamy from what I read in like the back at the time. And I was like, it could be good,
No, it was good. It was like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants for adults.
And he also gave me like Yaya Sisterhood? Divine Sisters of Yaya Sister, whatever that movie's called.
Right, yeah.
But yes, there was a lot of taboo topics, but I'm also not really taboo, but it can be taboo depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get started.
Something that I want to, before I forget about it.
Okay, go ahead.
With the back of it, literally, like the description of the book states that like she gets with those friends because like her boyfriend leaves her.
Yeah.
I thought he like broke up with her.
No,
that's not what happened.
He just goes to Africa for fun.
He's like, I'm a doctor and I'm gonna go do this.
I don't know if I like Dan, if I'm being honest.
I don't think I do either. So like at the end when she was like, we're not together, we're just friends anymore, and I was like, that makes sense.
Yes. It actually reminded me of a TikTok that I saw literally yesterday when I read, like a few hours before I read it, where this girl on the TikTok is crying to the camera. It said that she and her boyfriend, they love each other and they're happy, but they have to break up because they want different things. He wants kids and she doesn't.
Right.
And a lot of people in the comments were like, you should have talked about that when you first went in. Like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, fair, but like, you don't know how you are at 20 versus 30. Maybe
it's true, yeah.
I mean,
also, who discusses on first date how many kids you want to have? Like, that's not a thing anyone does.
I mean, to be fair, some people do.
So if this goes anywhere, kids?
Because, like, for example, if I were ever in a relationship, when is that gonna happen? I don't know. Not the point.
No demon spawn for me.
But it's like, I never want children. Like, even from a small age.
Right.
Like, when I went to my grandfather's funeral, last year, 2 years ago, I saw family members and everything, and they're like, "So, Lucia, your boyfriend, kids?" And I'm like, "Nope,
negative."
And my aunt, love you, Thea. She's like, "You know what? Actually, you've never wanted kids since you were very young." And so I would tell the person, like, I don't want kids, but I respectfully, some people do.
Yeah.
And so going back to the lady on TikTok, that's grown up of them, and I appreciate that.
Especially to be like, this isn't gonna work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's as much as it may break your hearts because everything's compatible except for that big thing.
Right.
It's big enough, So
before we talk any more about this book, I do want to preference this with possible trigger warnings for anybody that doesn't or has any kind of feeling towards abortion.
That's fair, yeah.
That's fair.
And cheating, if you don't like that topic, that's going to be talked about.
Yeah. I like how that came full circle.
Yeah. Oh my god, that reveal. Oh god.
I was like, what?
Are the other triggers that we should mention?
Yes, abuse.
Kind of substance abuse, but it's nicotine.
Domestic violence.
There is domestic violence. Yeah. These old ladies that they inherited this book club from lived wild lives. Truly.
So, okay, let's start from the beginning then. So it's 1960 whatever, and they're all in their 20s, and you have it's Gloria, it's Dot, Libby, and Maureen, something
Marjorie.
Like that. Marjorie. So right off the bat, we have our, I guess you can say, stereotypical characters, especially in the 60s.
Yeah.
You have
they were very reminiscent of Golden Girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I did like their packs. They're like,
it was cute. However, I got confused after reading the foreword and then the first chapter because the main character's name is MJ, and I thought Marjorie was just going by a different name.
Yeah. Well, at first I was like, okay, but then I made sure it was okay, it said 1960s or whatever, and then it said present day. But I did like how it said present day, but it didn't give what year the present day was.
It's true, yeah. So it's a little bit ambiguous.
It's based off of the year it was published.
Yeah. 2016. But if someone, me, I didn't look at what year it was published. Right. I was like, okay, I can put this sort of situation in this world, considering one of the places they talk about is Oceanside, California.
Right, yeah.
Where, yeah. Yeah. I was like, I know where that place
I wonder where y'all are from.
2 minutes down the road.
Exactly. So it's I can, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I've been there before.
Yes, you have. Anyways. So we started with them, and we have all these, well, for Gloria, we had very obvious secrets. So her husband was cheating, but no one wants to say it. Her friends suspected. Her friends are also like, why are you doing this or that? And our lives suck, but also we have each other sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a sisterhood, and when all our husbands are dead, we're gonna go live in Paris. So let's make that pact.
Let's go.
And I did like.
I liked how they do that pact.
No, I like it too.
They like have this whole little speech, and then they like.
Yeah, it's great when they're teas
so
and everything.
I would not be able to do that, but like I like their little ritual.
I like it as well.
It's cute.
And so, any particular character of those 4 ladies did y'all like the most?
Libby, I think.
I think I liked Gloria the most, but I think it's because we also like got the most information from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you actually saw her.
Yeah.
Like outside of that one chapter. Also, for y'all wondering why I'm looking to the side, we're doing this a little differently for the recording. We are each recording our own sections of this rather than Lucia recording it on her computer. So they are on FaceTime, hence the earbuds on my phone over to the side. So.
I didn't feel like cleaning my room, if I'm being completely honest.
We're all human, you know?
Yeah. It was dirty, and I didn't feel like cleaning it. Did I have a long time to clean it? Yes. I forgive myself. Right?
This is going to be a faster turnaround also for this recording. We're not recording it like 2 months in advance.
That's true. It comes out
literally
literally
like 2 weeks before it gets posted.
Yeah, in 16 days it comes out. That is true. Dang. So first chapter after our ladies and everything, after it's like I remember you sent a text though. You said that you were confused about that.
Yeah, I was like, what happened? Because it starts with like MJ and she's like, I have no friends and no family. And I'm like, what happened to these what happened to these women?
So
why aren't they friends?
In the first couple of moments or chapters, pages, whatever, after we get introduced to MJ, it says that she's a writer, but she doesn't necessarily write anymore. Mm-hmm. So my first thought was, okay, she writes that story. I'm not even lying. That was my thought. I was like, she writes it. And like
never connected for me.
And then you learn all about how she stood her parents up and then they died and how sad she is.
But you know what, the thing that I really enjoyed though was her saying that she kind of resented how Dan was there on the anniversary because she wanted to wallow in that, not pity, that sadness, and he was taking it away from her.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, I can relate to that, because it's like, don't give me that brightness of sunshine and happiness and this and that. I don't want it right now. Let me feel their pain. Because one, she wanted them to make sure that they wouldn't leave, you know?
Right.
And there is the guilt on her part. There was a scene where she says, if only, if only they had picked up the pen, if only this and that. It actually reminded me of a book. The first book that I personally can remember reading that made me cry when I was in 5th grade. Mick Hart Was Here. Only like 90 pages. Fucking shit, man. It was so good. It's so good.
Honestly so bittersweet and so sad that she can't use a pen.
I know. Or like drive.
I'm like, or drive. Yeah. It's like absolutely terrifying. And I would think that you also wouldn't be able to be in a car.
Right, yeah. But then by the end
which
of it,
would be very debilitating
all
for
her
life,
fears.
But
it took a while though.
It did take a long time.
Which is why
she did it.
Yeah. One day I will learn how to drive. Is there any trauma to it? No, not for me, but one day I'll learn how to drive. And so we learned that she works at a magazine and she's set up for a promotion, but turns out that promotion is like piggybacked with some other chick, and her boss is like, listen, you're my girl, but you're not exactly fun. The other chick, she's more fun, and you'll be like the boss behind the scenes. And she's like,
nah,
no,
fuck you.
No, actually, I'm glad though.
Yeah, like it worked out for her.
Yeah.
It set her on the chain of things honestly, that like fixed her.
I don't see why she wanted to put them as like co-editors. You very easily could have just created the position for the other girl to be the attendee.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't need both of them to be co-editors for that to work out.
I think maybe potentially just to add conflicts. It's like, how are we going to get her
It's just a reason to get her to California.
Yeah. So, how do we feel about Dan?
Dan is a very sweet guy, but not the guy for MJ.
Or me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like...
I mean, not for me. I'm gonna simp over, but, like, he's fine.
He kind of got on my nerves a lot.
He was a little annoying.
Yeah. Like, I get it. He's a doctor. He also has a savior complex, a hero complex. And he's also, like, I get what he's doing. Like, oh, you should do this. You should do that. Look at you wallowing. But also, it's like, fuck off.
I think the thing that really I was just like, I don't really like him is when he fucked up and booked his trip on her birthday.
Yeah.
Like, how do you mess that up, bud?
And he's like, you want to go? And we can hang with the guys? It'll be fun. No. We can go, while we're doing this, you can be doing touristy stuff. What? Awful.
Honestly, so much of him in this was just, I could do without you.
Yeah.
Just go be your doctor self, live with the Red Cross, and just enjoy it.
It's thanks to him that because he stole the chairs that Gloria was introduced at all to her.
It's very true, yeah.
So thanks, Dan, Dr. Dan.
I guess.
Thanks for being a thief.
Oh, and then, Gloria and Leo died.
Yeah.
That is traumatic.
That was so sudden. Could you imagine meeting your neighbors for the first time and then 20 minutes later he's fucking dead?
Quite literally. Just reading that scene, I was like, he's dead. He's fucking dead. Mm. Because that's how we're going to get Gloria out of the picture.
Yeah.
But, like, MJ walks in and is just, like, trying to talk to him. Like, what'd you do? Fall asleep? Like, come on, buddy. And it's like, why are you not moving? It's just a slow realization that this man is just not breathing.
Yeah.
So going back to the intro, if you will, first real quick, when they were talking about how Leo kept sending her headshots of all the actresses, did y'all get right away that he was having an affair?
I think so, yeah.
Oh.
Because, like, he was in Hollywood, and, like, old-time Hollywood in its prime.
And he was having dinner.
He was a producer. Yeah. So I was like, immediately, that's what's happening. That's
I was like, casting couch. Casting couch.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. Yeah. So.
Cringe.
Why do people cheat? There was actually a lot of cheating in this book.
There was.
There's so much
nothing
cheating in this.
Struck me more than Britt and Jules.
Honestly, though, the one couple that I wanted to root for cheating was revealed at the end. So we'll talk about when we get there.
What do they call it? What does she call him? What,
her Brazilian?
Brazilian. Is he Brazilian?
That wasn't
no, he's bald.
For,
no, he's not. He's a white guy, too.
Literally.
I think that was the most shocking part, because this whole time I'm, like, imagining someone with dark skin because she's referring to him as a Brazilian, and then it's not.
Brandon.
What was his name? Brandon, yeah.
His name's Brandon.
Oh, gosh. She's like, yeah, he was outside of the restroom, and I just fucked him in the men's restroom.
Right? Like, girl.
So, how do y'all feel? I know we're jumping up all over the place like we usually do, guys. It's okay. But how do y'all feel about cheating?
No.
I've never been in a relationship, but I don't think it's good.
Here's the thing. I've seen a lot of relationships where there's cheating. There's beep, beep. I'm doing that so I don't have to beep it out later. But there's always some justification that people say for cheating. Oh, he didn't pay attention to me, this and that. Now,
break up with him.
That's the whole thing, right? Like, I can understand if you're unhappy in a relationship. I can understand if you're someone who loves multiple people at once. I don't understand how you can break the trust you've created to get those needs met when you should be able to just be like, this isn't working.
Let's fix it, or what?
I need something different, or I'm leaving. Like, you should be able to have those if you're in an adult relationship, you should be able to have those adult conversations.
Here's a personal question for you too. I have an opinion on it, but I've also never been in a relationship, so it could change. Do you consider kissing cheating?
Yes.
I think it depends on who initiates it.
True. And if they continue.
The guise of
yes.
Neither one of you are attracted to each other.
No.
But you are the gender they are attracted
to each other.
I was like, no.
So, like, if you're in a straight relationship,
yeah.
Katie, how would you feel if Casey would just kiss a random girl, but no feelings were attached.
No, thank you.
Considering
thank you.
she's also married.
Yeah, but like,
no, it's weird.
Okay, for example, I know someone, I'm not going to say who, family member, okay, got married last year, month later, cheated. Same family member. Keep in mind, they were together for like 5 years at that point, known each other for way longer. Okay. Now, family member, when I found out, I was brokenhearted with family member because family member thought, because I was on the other person's side, because like, oh, this person is sweet and sweet, that you don't know X person. That's not it. I was brokenhearted because you're family member, and I, considering how we grew up, I expected more from you.
Right.
I expected you to treat the other person that you're with the dignity and the respect that deserves. And the fact that they were friends for so many years prior to them even getting together, I literally was crying.
Right.
Because I was so, and then again, a family member and I are super close. I was like literally crying. And I was like, you see, this is what I mean. It's like, people often tell me, oh, Lucia, you only read romance novels because they're quote unquote perfect. There's happy endings and stuff like that. I'm like, listen, shit happens in romance novels. Not the point. They are fake, you know? But at the same time, it's like, I have seen a lot of bad relationships in real life. Probably one of the reasons why I don't want to be in a relationship myself. It's like, I don't want to take the risk. And then so for this family member to give me another proof of that happening, it doesn't help the situation in my eyes of the whole love thing. No offense.
No,
to you.
no. I think the thing, like, deciding to cheat is a selfish act. You're
Yeah.
not thinking about the feelings of the other people involved or how it affects them.
Yeah.
Regardless of what your reasoning is, whether the other person is part of the problem or it's specifically you, what have you, you're hurting another person to gain for yourself when you should be having a conversation.
Yep. And so it's the same thing. It's like, oh, X person wasn't treating me the way I needed to. They got complacent. They weren't making me happy. We've talked about it before. And I'm like, listen, I would say there's only one reason for me to think that cheating is justified, perhaps. And that is if they were getting abused, but then they left their abuser, but then they met someone and they're still technically perhaps married to someone. And so they try to find a new life with this new person. I know it's weird.
It's weird. And I know a lot of people like hold on to they had their reasons because not that long ago you couldn't get out of your marriage.
Yeah.
So like I can see where the mentality comes from, but also as someone who has grown up around the ramifications of that and have been on this other side of it as well, it leaves you questioning, as a person who was cheated on, why you weren't good enough. And that's such a hard voice to break out of your brain, especially when the person that put it there doesn't care enough to help get rid of it because they're just thinking of themselves.
Yeah. And they talked a lot about that in this book. It's like the concept of love and the concept of sex are two separate things.
Which is fine and reasonable.
As long as you're not cheating.
Right. Like if you want to be able to have sex separate from love, you can't be in a committed relationship. And that's a conversation to have with your partners. And is super doable and reasonable in today's society. But you can't have both. It's one or the other.
I forgot his name, but Gloria's son,
David.
He
did it the right way.
Yeah, they were in an open relationship.
Yeah. Because she was, they were both aware that they were seeing other people.
Yeah.
And when they moved in together, made the commitment to be together. Yeah. That's how you do it.
And then, we're jumping everywhere, everyone. But when she finds out that what's her name got pregnant with his baby, she leaves him.
No, he dumped her.
I thought they said she
he dumped her.
They said that she left,
yeah. But
he dumped her to be with Addie.
That's right, my bad.
And Addie was like, I don't want that.
Respect.
I hated
She
Abby
didn't want
a
to be
little
tied
bit.
down.
Okay, so I kind of figured that, what was her name again? The Marjorie. Oh my god, was it again with the names? I thought I was gonna do well this time.
We just have a tally of every name you get wrong every time. And it's always the character you want to talk about that you always get it wrong.
All of them. Marjorie, when she wasn't there, especially at the funeral, I was like, okay, well, there's another one missing.
Right.
And then she had red hair. Addie has red hair. That's clearly their daughter. They're like, oh, I think of her as a daughter. You'll get along with her well. Oh, Aunt Gloria and Aunt Libby, Aunt Deb.
Right.
I figured automatically that was her mother. And then they say she died. I was like, okay, so then how did she send the letter? I was like, maybe it's one of those things where she had her lawyer or someone send...
Oh, like set up letters.
Like set up letters, you know, like in P.S. I Love You sort of thing.
Right.
But then turns out, haha, she's alive but living in Paris.
Yeah. I definitely didn't put it together until I read that final letter, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, neither did. Yeah, that got me.
I was surprised that she was alive. But...
I was definitely like confused when there weren't all four of them at the funeral, and I was like, interesting.
Yeah. But the red hair is what clued me on. And then also they had very similar personalities.
They did have really... I thought they were just paralleling the new girls with the old girls, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I can see that, too. So let's
I think
talk
I
about
would
the
have
new
picked up
girls,
on it
though.
more if I actually had the physical book. Listening to an audiobook, I have a different way of processing everything.
That makes
Right.
sense,
So I think I was just listening to it as it came and didn't make any connections.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, like, when I read books, I often listen to music, too. So it's like, I don't know. I think I would get distracted more if I was just listening to the audio.
Right.
I've only ever read one audiobook a year ago, so 2 years ago, so I think I would get distracted bad boy.
I usually follow along with the written if I'm listening to an audiobook or if I've already read the book before. It's never a new book.
That makes sense.
This is the first time I've read a new book and didn't have the material in front of me.
So, you want to talk about our new set of girls who
I
inherited...
have to say, I kind of disliked all of them at one point or another.
And I think that's what's so human about them.
Yeah. Like, they all had these flaws where I was just like, why?
Yeah.
So there was MJ, there was
No. MJ, Jules,
Yes.
Britt,
Yep.
and Addie.
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 MJ, our main girl.
Right.
And then Addie was she worked at the women's shelter, or women's
clinic.
Yep, that one.
Who was doing the Lord's work for young girls, honestly. I hate that she lost her job because of it.
Them free vibrators, though?
Literally giving them the
Where's
correct and
mine?
important
And she
information.
bought them for them.
Right? She bought them with her
Yeah.
own money and was giving them a safe and exploratory alternative to having sex as children.
Yeah. And then who was the one?
Not as children. They were
Jules?
still like teenagers. But
Listen, teenagers are
closer
still
to
children.
an appropriate age.
What is it?
They were not like
Jules?
under 10. Like, I just want to make that.
Jules is
Sure.
Destiny's mom.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then Jules how do y'all feel about Jules getting upset with Addie about, like, don't give my daughter that talk and stuff like that?
I think it's a very close-minded approach for having a teenage daughter.
Yeah.
Someone else was
Yes.
giving your daughter
I think-
correct information, and you got pissed off about it.
I can understand her point of view of being like, I didn't ask you to give my daughter that kind of information. Like, this is stuff that I should be telling her.
Right.
And I think she more so felt like she wasn't needed.
I could see that, but at the same time, your daughter went to somebody who was safe
Yeah.
and gave her
She went to a trusted adult.
good information.
And it's like she knows Addie too. It's not like she
Yeah.
went to some hooker off the street. No offense, hookers, but like, you know. And also,
No shaming.
like Brandon, her husband,
yeah,
and Destiny, you know, her daughter, they don't respect Jules at all.
no.
So there's no way that they would have, or she would have gone, Destiny would have gone to her mother with this at all. So there's this whole talk with Jules that throughout the entire book. It's like sticking with your marriage no matter what,
yeah.
until, like, you know, like later on and
I'm
stuff
glad
like that.
she decides to leave at the end, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, girl, come on.
The whole, like, I'm going to stick through, I made a commitment, I'm not going to break up my family, and then
And then
twist,
she
180
finally
at the
has an
end.
orgasm.
It's like,
with
actually,
Easton.
I'm done with him.
He's just, what did it say? He's a liberal conservative.
a liberal Republican.
That's what they said. I was like, what?
They were like, I thought he was gay, and she goes, no,
yeah.
he's a liberal
She's like, I thought he
Republican.
was gay. He's like, no, he's just a liberal Republican. Like, contradictory, but okay.
But
we didn't even talk about Easton. I low-key love him.
He's a very fun character, and I wanted more.
Like,
from him.
why was he introduced in the first place? Like, why are there just these 4 old women that trust this one man with their secret?
One man.
Just one guy.
I was like, can I inherit a library, please?
Right? Honestly, sounds like a dream.
Yeah. And then for each book that they read, I actually downloaded one of the books that they read.
Yeah.
And because I was like, I wonder what it's about.
It sounded like interesting books.
See, I literally have it.
I read 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, I read that one.
I
They talk
refuse
about
to
that
read
one,
that
and I
one.
was like, what?
It's Erica. I read the Fear of Flying one. Or I didn't read it. I downloaded Fear of Flying. Let's see what else I read.
For the third book that they talked about.
Yes. There was 50 Shades of Grey. I was going to say 50 Shades of Gay. Shades of
That would
Gay.
be an interesting book.
That would be interesting. And then they read, it was like June and something.
How did y'all feel about how with each book, each of the ladies of the original 4 had a reflective essay response with each one?
And their lives, their secrets, damn.
Yeah. It's like, what was her with, Libby, I think it was, the one with an abusive husband with 50 Shades of Grey. She's like, I didn't respond to it I didn't respond to it because of the sex scenes and all that stuff.
Right.
I responded it because of Anna and how much she had to, like, okay, how much is enough is enough.
Right.
All of that stuff. And, the whole talk, there was also alcohol abuse in this because her husband eventually, died because he was too drunk to drive correctly or straight, whatever that happened.
It was Dot.
That was honestly so
sorry.
sad.
Dot,
Where she was
thank
like,
you.
it's either me or the alcohol. And man chose the alcohol.
Yeah.
And he said,
But honestly, good on her for like having the strength to do that.
she said, and 4 days later, I went back home. And not because he chose us or something like that, but because he chose the alcohol, basically. Yeah. And it was the whole it was her way of thinking. It's like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Okay, if only I did this.
Mm-hmm.
If only, and that is such, it unfortunately is like a victim mentality, but she was able to get out of that loop.
Yeah.
So I am, and unfortunately that's not the case for everyone. It really is not.
True.
And how did y'all feel about Maureen's tale of the post
Marjorie.
Yep.
I only remember her name because you don't. And I want that to be very clear.
Good enough for me. What did I call her?
Maureen. Close enough.
Marjorie. How did y'all feel about her episode in terms of why she was separated from her child?
Honestly, that man is an asshole.
Yeah. Was he a lawyer, right? Yeah. They're like,
So.
oh, but like they didn't take into account of how serious postpartum.
I mean, I feel like
postpartum depression is.
Yeah.
There wasn't as much information about it then. Even then.
Yeah. They're like, oh, she's crazy. Gotta keep her away from my child.
Yeah.
And that itself is why she didn't want. Addie didn't want to read. Like, I don't want to read because my mom read. I don't want to be in this club because my mom was in this club. Listen, lady. Listen.
She didn't know it was her,
She
though, right?
know
Because
it
she
was
thought
her
her mom
mom.
died.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It was it was reading that letter where she was like, oh my god, wait, you're my mom?
Oh, yeah, because MJ slipped it in her bag or jacket or something. I take it back.
We skipped over this, and I know that we talked about some heavy stuff. There's only one thing that I wanted to talk about, where I texted you guys and was like, have you guys started this yet? Because I need to pop off.
Okay.
I made a TikTok about it.
Okay.
MJ's fucking name and her family's name.
Oh, man.
MJ's name
September, August,
is
May, June,
May,
April.
June. Because she was born on March 31st, or May 31st at midnight, which is just June 1st.
Yeah.
But that's not even the wild part.
Okay.
So she got that name because that's the month she was born in.
Yeah.
So then her parents and her sister were also named as such.
Yep.
So we have January, her mom, August, her father, and April, her sister. And I'd just like to know, what are the odds of these two people meeting who are named January and August? What are the odds of this?
They feel
be
quite
like, yeah,
slim.
when we have kids, we're going to name them after the months they were born in as well.
I don't know, man. There's a kid named August in August Rush. You know that movie?
August is
Yeah,
like a really popular
not
name.
uncommon.
But January.
It's just,
But January is a weird one.
There's a movie
Yeah,
called...
the odds of those two meeting completely separate lives, their own parents named them after the months they were born in, to then meet and be like, we're going to do the same thing.
And it's funny because,
what if
like...
you had twins? What if they are born in the same month at different years?
But, like, I think the funniest part is, like, both May and April are, like, really common girl names.
Yeah.
So, like, the only one that's
So it wouldn't have been weird
is literally January.
There's a movie, I think... Oh, no, it's called A Girl Named Monday, not A Girl Called January.
That's a very good movie. I like that movie.
Like,
I've never seen
what
It's very
other
good.
name could we have given the mom where it wouldn't have been that weird?
The mom could have been
October.
June. Like, June is a common name, too.
Yeah, June would have worked. October I wouldn't have been mad at, or even November, really.
What was
Those
your
two
favorite
wouldn't
one
have been
that you
mad.
gave to us on
January.
What did I
No. I mean, I guess if she went by Jan.
I mean, yeah, but it's still a weird name. Like, I'm sorry, not naming my son November.
Damn it.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Sorry. No, we have different names that we're workshopping.
Oh, yes. Welcome to Bed Bath & Beyond. Interested in masturbating with us today is my favorite line from this book.
Casey? Whoa.
I wrote down a couple things. I don't think I wrote a lot down.
It's fine. Also, I enjoyed Liddy's story. And I'm glad that she found love with a woman.
Yes. She's like, you're right. Oh, but like, she was in such a conservative family.
She was.
And her husband was a priest.
Mhm.
And for months and months and months, she had an illicit affair without telling anyone, not even her friends.
Yeah.
And then her husband finally saw her going down and dirty with the lady
Mhm.
and was like, no, you're out. Her parents kicked her out. Well, we didn't even talk about, like when the clubs broke
Well, that was all part of it.
Yeah, they broke up like 4 times.
Yeah.
They did. Because Liddy
Which
broke
was
them.
also a qualification for the new group. It was like, either you're all in,
Yeah.
or none of you are.
Yeah.
But, like, Liddy broke them up the first time because she thought their dirty books was the reason she was having miscarriages.
Yeah.
And then they broke
Then
up.
she had another one.
Yeah. And then they broke up again because she didn't tell them about her affair that she was having.
Because they were like, you know what?
It's not that you did it, it's that you didn't tell us.
Yeah, like, what about our club, y'all? What about our club?
I'm like, okay, I get it, but did you really need to, like, break up with each other over that?
Would that be grounds for us, Katie, to not be friends anymore if I just didn't tell you?
No, I'd
Having
probably
an
be
affair.
like, oh, okay, you weren't ready to tell me. That's fine. Like,
Thank you.
I feel like when the new group broke up, I was like, that's kind of a lame reason. Like,
it
I don't remember,
was.
like, what exactly happened? I don't remember the reason, but I remember
Well, like,
thinking
Addie
it was
got
like,
mad at MJ.
oh, yeah, because she's like, oh, you're
Because
talking
MJ kept
to...
wanting to leave.
And,
I mean, Addie already wasn't planning on staying there forever.
Right. So, like, they all thought that they all were going to leave, but, like, the thing that, like, pushed it was Addie being mad at MJ, and there was no other reason that, like, really pushed it.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's dumb. Y'all are being children.
Yeah, again, another reason for... They're creating conflict in order to have conflict, in order for them to eventually come back together. And I'm like, that's not a good enough reason for me. Yeah. Any particular favorite part of the book? No, it all sucked ass. I'm just kidding. No, what I did like was...
I liked that the ending was happy, but not what you were expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they all were happy with their lives, but it was very different from where you thought they'd end up.
I honestly think my favorite part of this book was that, first of all, Easton shouldn't have been around Jules when she got brought to the hospital, and they were just like, why were you with Easton?
Why were
This is
you?
a little suspicious.
Oh,
So
we
she's like, I'm not fucking him. Why would I cheat on Brandon? Which was another whole thing. Was like, they had just learned, like, in that situation,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Libby was, who was it? No, Addie. No.
Jules.
Brit.
Jules' husband.
Britt.
Right.
Britt was fucking Brandon.
Yeah. But then you find
so
out
they're
later
like,
that
we're gonna stop this.
Jules knew he was cheating on her too.
And just didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
But like it happened regularly.
I'm gonna put a stop to it. But my favorite part was that like she denied it, and then at the end we get like, oh no, yeah, I'm screwing him.
Yeah.
How do you?
Easton's great.
I guess we didn't talk about this.
Yes, bestie.
That part during
This
the
is the
cheating
relationship I'm
aspect.
rooting for.
It's like, okay, he's cheating, so I should cheat too. Would you do that?
No, especially how bad do you think Britt felt after she learned what Paul was actually doing?
Yeah.
And the way she treated him? I felt bad for Paul.
Oh, I know.
Because
he was making the
absolutely not.
He was like working really hard to going. Like he was making really hard to make this thing work, to get this massive contract.
Yeah.
To like get everything back on track, and she's just like, he sits at home all day and smokes weed on the couch. And that's why I'm sleeping with the Brazilian.
The Brazilian.
They gave her fucking pot brownies and very nearly brought them to an open house.
That was a very funny moment.
They're like, oh, it's for his friend, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad for Paul. They're like, oh, you know, he probably heard so many times only show me results, and he didn't want to jinx it, so he didn't show you anything, basically. Right. And I'm like, bleh.
Which is so sad. You should be able to share things like that.
The progress of it all. Remember, you know how they say it's not the destination, it's the journey?
Yeah.
As cheesy as it is, yeah. Anything else in this book?
If one of you sleeps with my husband, though, we're not coming back from that. Sorry. We're not.
It's right there.
I'm just putting it on the table.
Okay.
You better watch out, Casey.
It's so weird. Oh, God.
Overall, though, I liked it. It was a nice little
turn of page, a little different than we used to do.
And it was still interesting to read. Like, I was still intrigued to see what happened.
Yeah. Again, this book is saying compromise to an extent. I can say that was also have your friends with you, because that's the true romance of it all. Also, don't fall asleep in your bathtub with the water running trying to masturbate. Oh my gosh. You'll cause the tub to fall through the ceiling. Yeah.
Yep.
Also,
I love
be true to yourself.
How meta and full circle this book came. You start the first chapter as like a flashback.
Yeah.
The ending of the last chapter is the beginning of.
That's what I almost like when I got to that part. I was like, I fucking knew it.
It's like, oh, okay.
Because I've said this in the past. It's like whenever I'm reading a book and there's like some sort of thing happening, I like to try and figure it out along the way to see if I'm right. And I was like, I'm right. Because again, the pieces were there. They said she's a writer. She doesn't write anymore. And then they're like, well, eventually she starts writing, and things stand. She wrote her a letter. Oh, the one part I didn't bring it up earlier, but with the dam that got me annoyed because of the whole earthquake situation. And she finally calls him, and he's like, yeah, we had a great time with the serves, and he's all happy, and she's all angry, and I'm like, why aren't you reading the situation?
I thought you died.
She's like, the waves were sick, and she's like, we all thought you were dead.
Bruh.
Your mom's. He has two moms, by the way.
Yeah, I love that.
Very
good.
He's like, your moms, I've never met them, and they're like, just come hang out with us. We'll figure it out.
The part that was funny though to me though is like when I think it's like when she was giving him, they were doing sexual stuff. I don't remember exactly, but then she started like putting on the porno of like the two lesbians, and he got turned off. He's like, yeah, I have two moms and like four sisters. This wasn't it for me. No, my favorite part was after Addie's birthday party. Mm-hmm. That was another one of my favorite lines. Oh, when he kicks her? Well, like, the line is, like, Dan likes a finger up his ass when getting a blowjob. And I was just like, oh, okay. And what she does is try to stick the whole dildo up his ass.
We didn't need this.
Yeah. And then he knees her in the face.
Here's what I thought was unnecessary during the, I think it was during the funeral scene, where they were speaking in Arabic. or Hebrew.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was doing a Hebrew prayer, like, he knew it. And she was like, is he a fucking terrorist? And I was like, this is an uncalled for line.
Ma'am,
Because,
I think he's just Jewish.
I think like, what else don't I know about him?
Like, they
dated him for 8 months.
You know what was funny?
Long distance. You don't know anything.
Eventually, her reasoning as to why she went to California started changing. Like, oh yeah, I left my job. Oh yeah, I left my job to be with him.
There it is. Dan enjoyed a finger in the ass while he was getting a blowjob, particularly right as he was about to come.
Right at the end, just sneak it in there.
There was another like motif or theme in this book was also like what's the word line of omission, basically.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like how much do you want to tell someone in order to break up the reality. I think eventually what's her name, the one with Paul, Britt. I think eventually Britt is going to tell Paul that she cheated on him.
Apologies.
Okay. Eventually she's going to tell him that she cheated on him. Personally, that's what I think. Because her guilt... Did y'all ever watch The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix?
No.
Well,
I've heard of it, though.
It's a great show. Without going into detail, because I don't want to spoil anything, because that's just generally a great show. I cry every time I watch it. Not the point. But each sibling said to be represents a, what is it? The stages of grief, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And also each ghost that they see can represent either an actual ghost or something from their past. Well, one of the sisters saw a ghost that wasn't dead. Guilt? Or did he die? Again, I'm not trying to tell you what happens because it's a really good show.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you're not afraid of pop-up ghosts and shit, I recommend, because it will cut you in the goddamn feels. Because again, it's bonds, family, grief, and all that bullshit. It's good. I recommend. Basically. Yeah.
I would like Casey's review on this book after just hearing what we've said.
I don't know that he's fully listening because he's playing his game.
Damn.
So usually, it'd be Katie's turn next, Mary, or her to pick a book. But if you like, would you like to pick our next book?
I would love to pick our next book. I have many ideas, so I don't think I can pick one right now, but I will let you guys know.
That's fine. I'm not going to be able to get something done until after I'm home, so.
Yeah.
I will potentially not.
Because I want to choose, like, a book that I also haven't read yet.
Yeah.
That's on my TBR.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I also really want to talk about that A Court of Thorns and Roses series with you guys, and I know we've talked about just all of us reading it and then just having, like, a mass
when we were at
books.
Barnes & Noble earlier, I saw it, and I was like, yep, that's the one. Still gotta read them. And I was like, we're still eventually gonna do that.
I would love nothing more than to just talk about that whole series. It can just be one episode, but I want to talk about the series.
I think it'd be fun, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it would be easier as well, because I would accidentally spoil it if I just tried to talk about one book.
That makes
right.
sense.
They're hard to separate now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have anything else to say other than be glad of your friends. They're the true heart of it all. It's like when we were talking about for the Clockwork, books.
Right.
It wasn't the love story that got me. It was the friendship between Jem and him.
Will.
So final ratings?
Final ratings. I would give it like a solid 3 out of 5.
I also gave it a 3 out of 5.
I actually think I might have given it a 4 on my Goodreads. Let me go take a quick peek. I don't remember what I gave it.
Goodreads one of these days.
Technically, I have, and I just never go on it.
Shauna keeps like sending it to me every couple of months, and she's like, "Start one," and I'm like, "I forgot again."
I gave it a 4 on my Goodreads. That was a high rating for a book I didn't think I'd like.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good book.
And I think that's what makes it fun, because I generally don't read these too, or these types of books, because it's not raunchy. But what sold it on me...
It was enough, though.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of cheating. But what sold it for me, though, was the fact that I knew it was going to be, because of the back, about the bond of friendship. Right. And that's what sold it for me. Mm-hmm. And that's why I wanted to read it, other than the title.
It kind of read like a comedy, though. Like, it was really funny.
It was funny in a lot of parts.
And we're also missing so much more in terms of the different stages of grief and trying to get through it and eventually picking yourself back up and stuff like that. We're like, this is a gloss of the book, I feel, but still good gloss.
Right.
But we still enjoyed it for what it was worth. And it was a different sort of thing that we usually do.
Yeah.
Anything else that y'all want to say?
I don't think so. Here's the book.
But yeah,
I just never have anything to be like showing off.
But we will check y'all next time. I don't know if we'll have an August book talk, because Katie's moving back to I was gonna say California. Moving back to New York. It
just means that we switched positions, Lucia. You're the one on video call, and Katie and I are next to each other.
Yeah. That's right.
Or at the very least, all three of us are on video call.
One day, Katie keeps telling me, you can visit me in New York. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah.
You'll do it one day.
Get me to New York when it snows.
What?
Get me into New York when it snows.
But thank you all so much. Either we won't have one for August, or I'll just do one by myself. I haven't decided. I haven't decided, yeah.
I will, read on my drive.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Content will come to you. It just may not be from the three of us.
Yes. Anyways, this was Lucia.
Katie.
And Mary.
From We Know What Y'all Like. This was Book Talk. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.